Hello, welcome everyone to today's episode. I am delighted to have Keon Lee on the podcast today. He is the general manager of Faust, which is an international youth theatre based out in Hong Kong and Singapore. And they do lots of fabulous work. I've had the pleasure of working with Faust in the past and with Keon, and it was an absolute joy. And Keon is also not just a general manager, but a writer, a director, and an actor. And we're going to talk about all of that today. And I'm super excited to have you on. Keon, I haven't seen you for a while. How's things? How have you been getting on since I last saw you?
Oh, just not much is going on. Everything is just peachy, keen, and fine. How are you?
Yes,
Anything new?
similar, peachy. Yeah, I like that. I like that. That might be the tag for this episode, peachy. I love it. Yeah. Good,
Yeah.
good. So you're getting on okay. You're getting on okay. There's plenty going on in the world, lots of drama, but theatre is still going on. You're still being creative. Faust
Yes.
is Faust is still happening.
Yes. It was touch and go for a while there last year in 2020. Uh, it's a big ask for families to transfer learning drama skills online. We did find a lot of ways to uh, make that palatable and make that work.
Mm.
And actually, we received so much feedback from parents uh, during last year because there were quite a few families who really appreciate that we were still continuing setting up services and to help their children online. We offered different types of services. Instead of just drama, we did creative writing. We did more creative writing. We did comic illustration, which I led, and that was a lot of fun. And we even helped some students who wanted interview and exam preparation. So we've diversified during
Mm.
during last year, but we still, where we could, uh, manage to run workshops in person. And we're actually preparing a show next week. We're doing a performance of Pride and Prejudice and Cyrano de Bergerac with teenagers. So
Okay.
they're all going to perform with masks on, but they've been doing such a great job, and they're managing to pull off a magnetic performance even with their masks on. I'll tell you more about that later, but it's like we're adapting, and it's been great. We really had to focus on the actor's physicality and something that a non-theater friend of mine said, "Oh, you're going to do a lot of eyebrow acting. There's a lot of eyebrow action going on." And
I'd be good at that. I've got pretty expressive eyebrows. Anyway, sorry.
yes, and and but we're also getting masks that's color coordinated to the costumes. So we did a lot of work on costumes. Jamae Cura and Clara Kim, they're my colleagues, and they've spent so much time working on costumes, making sure they're really carefully color coordinated
Mhm.
so that visually it looks quite appealing. And so I think it's going to work. It's been working so far in rehearsals.
Mm.
They still make me laugh and they still make me cry when they're performing. So I hope audiences feel the same.
Yeah, absolutely. For anyone that doesn't know, Faust have been they began in 1999, and when there is not COVID and restrictions and this, that, and the other, ordinarily they run various drama workshops in schools, I should say, and also at their theatre space. Where people come along and they take part in various classes in acting, in moving, in writing, in all sorts. And it's an awesome place for the young people to go to and take part and express themselves, and it's pretty awesome. When you are not general managing at Faust, you're also you write as well, and you've been a performer. You've acted as well. Can you talk to us about the acting work that you've done, Keon? And we'll come back to Faust and your general managing in a little bit.
Thank you. I have done less acting since I've taken on the role of general manager. But when I was younger, in my more carefree days, you know, I, since I was a teenager, I loved performing and acting, and I don't know where that came from, really, because my parents they're not, my father's a businessman, my mom, uh, she took care of us at home, and they provided a really great lifestyle, but they weren't particularly theater, oh, you must go see this play or anything like that.
Mm.
I was shy, and I think when I was at drama class, the drama teachers were just so good, and they were so great. Uh, Mrs. Higginbottom and Mr. Neil Harris, uh, and my primary school teacher, Mrs. Oyston, and Miss Lacey Vitacci, they they just made me feel really whole and complete, and let me have fun and express myself. And I thought, this is the best thing ever. Like, I need to do this.
Mm.
And so I uh, pursued kind of acting and writing. I just like being creative. And I did two performances that I thought that were kind of like highlights. One was I played a character called DHH in David Henry Hwang's Yellowface. So
Okay.
this is an Asian American playwright who wrote about his experience about uh, Asian American identity. So it's super relevant considering what's happening now, uh, and with Asian American identity and culture. So that was I got to play that lead role, and Eric Ng was the director, and the Hong Kong players produced it, and it was such a meaty role, and I was with a really great troupe of actors who we all bounced off each other. It's a really fast-paced play, uh, you know, and it's all, part of it's based on real events, but part of it is a dramatization of what the playwright himself went through when he was kind of accused of racism, in terms of, like, he was so keen on having Asian American representation that it kind of questions, well, who's Asian, who's American, what does that all mean?
Mm.
And I think a lot of Asian Americans uh, in that play, it kind of reflects how they're not always accepted. They're not seen as fully American, uh, particularly the older generations who brought more of the old world with them. Younger generations might feel more comfortable, but there's always this feeling of, you're not really from here, are you?
Mm.
And it explores these themes, and it's really, really great. Such a great play. And the cast was a really amazing. And Eric, he was a fantastic director who he directed a lot of really great plays in Hong Kong. Uh, Usually his fare is much more dark. He directed The Pillow Man.
Okay.
You've heard of, yeah,
Yeah, I've heard of
you've
the Pillow Man. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So
Great place.
yeah, and another play called Nine Circles. So he does really well with dark material, but Yellowface is, a lot less dark, but he just did so well in making sure that the play is entertaining, fast paced, and dramatic.
Mm.
So yeah.
Wow. Very nice. And you took part in there was another production as well, which I noticed online, that My Big Gay Italian Wedding, an American comedy. Now, I would love to hear a bit more about that one, Keon.
Okay, so that one is it's a farce. It's directed by Wendy Herbert through WAG Productions, and she is well known for directing a lot of really great comedies. And it was just it was a big cast. And it's a comedy about two men who are planning a big gay Italian wedding,
Mm.
and it's really, really silly, really, really fun, and it really has a lot of heart. And um, and it has, both straight and gay actors playing lots of different types of roles. I myself am a straight male, and I was cast to play a gay man who has to pretend to be. Um, I want to get this straight. He has to pretend to be the mother of one of the gay men in order to convince the other gay partner's parents, very conservative parents, that it is okay for them to get married. So
Amazing.
the conservative parents were like, "Oh, it's okay that you can be gay married as long as the mother and father are still present." So I had to be the mother,
I would
and
love
it
to
was
see this.
I'll show you a
Can we
photo
find
later.
this anywhere?
Yeah,
Is it
I'm not.
online somewhere? It must be.
Yeah, it's not hidden, but it's well, let's just say, I don't look bad in pink, and it's a lot of pink.
Wow. Wow. What a great part to play as well. That must have was that a stretch for you to play, or was it quite an easy character for you to morph into, or
Well, it's very farcical, and the director said, there's obviously there's elements of heart and truth to it, but it's a really silly play, and so we really played up a lot of the humor. It's not meant to be like a smart satire or anything like that. It's
yeah.
just it's got a lot of commedia dell'arte energy, a lot of silliness, a lot of wordplay, and a lot of double takes. So for those who were looking for more sophisticated takes or more nuanced takes, don't bother, because the title is Big Gay, My Big Gay. There's no
Yeah.
subtlety.
No, no, it's pretty clear from the title. Yeah, absolutely. All right, good. So when you're not acting, you do a lot of writing and directing at Faust. You create a lot of shows. You work mainly with the older groups. Is that right, or do you work with all of them at this point?
Well, I have taught every age group. Um, uh, from we teach 3-year-olds as well, but I've
Mm,
taught basically from 4 all the way to 18. And actually, we just started an adult class, so now you can say I
very
almost
cool.
teach. Um, and when I actually started working at Faust back in 2001,
Hmm.
and I worked there as an assistant first, and then as a program coordinator. So I would be teaching and administrating programs. And then in 2013, I became general manager. And when I became general manager, I focused teaching the oldest age group, stage group. They're the 15 to 18-year-olds,
Hmm.
and they're obviously the one who are most focused on, they're they they want to perform at a more professional level,
Mm.
and they realize that they need to put in a lot more effort and focus on delivering more sophisticated performances. Uh, and so I taught only one group during my time as general manager in stage group. But I have taught all the different age groups during my time here.
And in the when you were teaching the younger ones, you mentioned you started as an assistant, and then you became one of the lead drama teachers, and then you moved from that into being a general manager. What was the what how was that for you, that transition? I imagine obviously responsibility was far greater, but was that an easy move for you to make? Is it something that you had wanted to do for a while, or did it just sort of happen organically? What was the what was the deal?
Oh, and Warren, it was hard.
Yeah.
It was so hard. I think there were several points where I thought I've made a mistake. This is no, that I can't do this. So to give a little bit more background, I studied English literature and drama at university. I went to Royal Holloway for my first year, and then transferred to the University of Hong Kong. Um, and uh, and I continued studying, uh, English literature and comparative literature. I wasn't um, I had no interest in doing business. My father was a businessman,
Mm.
and I think I just rebelled against what he wanted me to do. I really had no interest in doing business. On on my way to the UK to study English and drama, my father said to me, "Hey, you should audit in some business classes." And I laughed at his face. Why? Why? And, ultimately he was correct because, you know, uh, I love my years teaching, and this opportunity to be general manager came up. My boss, Matthew Gregory, the founder of the company, uh, said to me, this position's available. Are you interested? Uh, and uh, I said, sure. And we talked about it. And this is one of the reasons why I stayed at Faust for so long. Matthew is such a great boss because you know, we both recognize that I'm not from a business background. A general manager should have a business background, or at least one that's kind of uh, more than what I had. And he acknowledged that there will be holes in that area, and he would help me. It was mainly to do with marketing and some areas in business development. Uh, and for I'd say the first year and a half, it was like just barely keeping my head above water
Mm.
in terms of, oh, there's all these things I have to do, there's all these processes and all this knowledge and behaviors and things I should look out for. And it was constantly
Mm.
and finally, after nearly 2 years, everything just clicked. Everything just finally clicked. I finally got more calm. I got more confident in what I was doing. And so yeah, that transition was really difficult,
Yeah.
but it made it through.
And at the position you're in now, like all these years later, are you very comfortable now then in the job? Is it something that you really, really enjoy? Can you is it something that you would want to do for many more years to come?
Yeah, I have to admit there were some moments, particularly in the last year, but that has nothing to do with the job and more with the whole world being on fire
Right.
and quarantine, because there were some difficult days. But uh, let me put it this way: in 2019, I was so comfortable with my role as general manager in marketing and business development that I called that my Slytherin year.
Yeah.
I decided in partway through the year, like early 2019, that this is going to be my Slytherin year. I'm going to embrace being a Slytherin from the Harry Potter world in Hogwarts and be more ambitious and cunning and just develop the business. And I took that on. I joined a business networking group where I have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to make sure that I'm ready for a 6:30 morning networking meeting
Wow.
and uh, meet business people and talk about business and referrals. Like it was, as a creative person, this was like bizarro world, and I was like, okay, so this is how that works.
Yeah.
And so it's just things like that. I finally got comfortable. I had to learn a lot about delegating during my time as general manager, and I finally feel more comfortable about how to do that and just checking with people and realizing that I have my job to do, looking over stuff. I don't have to go in and try to do everything. I don't have to, try to take over things when things are not working. I have to embrace my role and try to support and empower my
Mm.
colleagues so that they are doing what they're supposed to be doing and I'm supposed to be what I'm supposed to be doing, because they need that balance They don't need me like kind of breathing behind their backs, breathing on their neck, trying to like going, no, do it like this.
Mm.
You know?
Mm.
So
Wow,
that's
there we
how
go.
it's gone.
So but I didn't actually know you were doing that. Those meetings at 6:30 in the morning. That's pretty dedicated right there, Keon. Big fan
Yeah,
of that.
it was so weird because you know how listen, Warren, you're a positive guy. The whole time I've known you, I've always seen you like just be really, really positive. Like, I think you would fit in with this group because this group is just so positive and they're like proactive and they're like asking you like really, really great. The only problem it being at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I'm not sure how
So
positive I would be at 6:30 in the morning, but you haven't seen me at that time in the morning. The smile
yeah,
comes like post 9 o'clock usually for me.
yeah, yeah.
Let's talk about your decision to move to Hong Kong. So originally you're from Korea, is that right?
Yes. Yeah,
Yep.
I'm from South Korea.
Yep.
I mean, it wasn't my decision really because I was 4 years old and
I
my
want to move to
parents.
Hong Kong. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Let's go.
so the reasoning was your parents decided to move to Hong Kong, or
Yes,
yeah.
my father worked for LG Electronics.
Mhm.
Back then, it was not called LG Electronics. It was called Lucky Gold Star.
Oh, I like that.
That it to me, growing up in Hong Kong, that sounds like such an Asian name for
Yeah.
of an English like something that they think might sound good in English. And the logo was completely different. I remember it distinctly because I remember as a kid growing up seeing Lucky Gold Star in the Hong Kong uh, cityscape up shining brightly. And when they turned it to LG, life's good. It was like, well,
Yeah, it's not the same, is it really? But yeah. Okay. So so you've been here since you were 4 years old then. So that's a large chunk of your life really. So do you remember any of your time back in Korea in your first 4 years of life? Do you remember have any images or flashbacks to that time?
yeah. I remember mostly my relatives, my grandmother. Uh, I didn't know uh, both of my grandfathers were deceased before I was born, but my grandmothers, they have now since passed away. But growing up, they were really big in my life, and I mostly I remember just being hanging out with my relatives and eating a lot of candy and snacks.
Right.
There's this snack called choco pie.
Okay.
Um, it's a round moon pie, like chocolate marshmallow, like kind of like a fat wagon wheel.
Oh
Uh,
wow. Sounds awesome.
yeah, it's like
I love a
if what
wagon
if
wheel.
yeah, what if we get a wagon wheel and just made it even worse or
Yeah.
better, depending on your point of view.
Yeah, better on the taste buds, maybe not so good on on the waistline, but hey ho.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. So you remember that? And have you been back to South Korea over the years? Have you gone back at all for any reason or?
Yes. So when I was growing up, we used to go there once every year,
Yeah.
either usually during the summer. And then my last big stay in Korea was I actually spent a year in Korea between my first year of university and my second year of university because I was in the UK. I was having a great time at Royal Holloway studying drama and English literature. And then the Asian economic crisis happened in 98 to 99, and my father lost a lot of business, lost a lot of money, and so I couldn't continue studying there. So I actually went to Korea to stay with my relatives, and I earned money by tutoring.
Okay.
I tutored English, um, and uh, and so I was making a lot of money. Well, I'd say a lot of money. I was making money.
Mm.
I was also living with with different relatives at different places. The most interesting place was I have an uncle who's a Korean pastor, um, and so I lived in a shed at the back of the church. That was where I stayed for like 6 months during that year,
How was
and
that
it was
experience?
they were at the shed. I say shed, but it's like it was a big shed, and I had my own TV. I had privacy,
Okay.
but it was also very lonely because I didn't grow up in Korea. I see my relatives, but you know I have an international school background. I speak English most of the time instead of Korean, and so it and all my friends were at university. They were all around the world. I didn't know anybody my age in Korea, because all my relatives, my cousins, were either like really young or much older than me. And the one cousin who was my age, he was doing army service at the time, uh, Korean national service. So it was very lonely, and it was only because of a family friend that I was able to move back to Hong Kong and pay for a deposit to go into University of Hong Kong.
Let's talk about. I was doing some research on you. I'd often do a little bit of research on my guests, and a video of you doing a TEDx talk popped
Oh,
up. And I would love to know how that came about. And can you tell everyone what it was about and what the goals were behind the speech itself, what you were hoping to achieve, etc., etc.? That would be awesome.
um, the TEDx talk came about because it was held at Chawton College. Uh, Jane Parry, she was the person who asked me. So I was a student at that school, and I still have close ties to that school. Some of the teachers that go there are now my friends. I call some of my drama teachers by their first names,
Whoa.
which is really weird, but I've gotten used to it now. Um, Jane Parry, somebody referred me to Jane Parry, and she asked me, "Hey, would you mind coming to give this talk?" Actually, there's a longer backstory. I actually went to that school many times for careers evenings. So she had known me for years, and then when the TEDx event at Chawton College happened, she asked me, and I said, "Sure." It was like a bucket list thing to do, right? To give a TED talk. I mean, it's TEDx, but it's still I still thought that it was a great idea, and it was a great opportunity. And they had a theme. It was called Epiphanies. So anything regarding epiphanies, on the theme of epiphanies. And I said, okay, what can I talk about? I'm a drama teacher, director. What could I say about epiphanies? What do I know? And let me talk about the best subject that I know a lot about, myself. So I talked about the various epiphanies I had in my life, and I basically talked about the definition of epiphany being just a single moment in your life, a moment where you have a great realization that kind of shifts your perspective. And I basically expanded on that definition to comical effect. I mentioned that you can have a series of epiphanies, and it can occur and again, and it doesn't have to be a single moment. And I used my life experiences to kind of demonstrate that. You know, I had I had an epiphany, for example, regarding an ex-girlfriend. Oh, I'm getting really don't know if I should mention that one. I said it in a TEDx. Why can't I say it here?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I mentioned that I had um, blamed my ex for our relationship, and I just realized that I was holding on to that blame, and when I let that go, it just made a huge difference because I was holding on to she was wrong, she was wrong, she was wrong. But I was no longer with her. Like, I can't blame her. Like, I'm the one who's carrying all the, all the blame and fault. So learning to let that go was an epiphany. Learning, realizing, that my parents just want the best for me. That was also a big epiphany. Like, people know, oh yeah, parents love you, yeah, yeah, yeah. But to actually experience your parents' love, like, you really get that they were just trying to do the best for you. That their way of saying, go audit some business classes is their way of saying, I love you. I want you to be safe. I want you to do the best, and with and do what I know works. That's their version of I love you.
Mm.
And so so I shared that. So it was really, vulnerable, intimate things that I shared about. But I think it's okay to share about those things because it just makes other people go, oh yeah, me too. I've experienced something like that. It
Mm.
makes you feel less alone.
Were you nervous beforehand doing it?
Oh yeah, I like wrote, rewrote. I bored my poor wife Tanya to death with like me, like, so she's so patient. I was like, and this, what do you think about this? And she's like, yeah, yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. Nice.
She was much more patient than I just portrayed her just to be. But yeah, but yeah, I got a lot of support.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And
yeah.
feedback? Did you get any feedback off the back of the talk? Was there anyone in the audience that you knew that went to see it, or anyone that saw it online that has got back to you afterwards and said, "Wow, that was pretty cool," or "I took something away
Yeah.
from that," or
Well, at the event itself, I was put in a later time slot, so there weren't actually as many people in the audience. So it was a little bit quiet, but there was a photographer. He was the ESF photographer, and he came up to me and said, you know, enjoy that. He was very understated. And uh, my boss, I gave my Matthew uh, my speech, and he said he really liked it. And it wasn't until like months later when they finally uploaded it up onto YouTube, and it got uploaded to the to the TEDx official YouTube page, and I shared it, and that's when people went, "Oh wow, this is well done, Keon.
yeah.
This is really good. It's really nice." So it was really nice. I didn't expect many people to actually hear it all the way through because it's 15 minutes and it's me talking about myself, so it's okay.
All right, let's move to your love of comic books, please, Keon. I came across a couple of links online. You've been in the past, even presently, you're creating comic books. You're doing some little bits of writing on that, and yeah, can you talk to us about that? How you started that, and about your passion for comic books? That would be quite interesting to hear, I think.
Yeah, well, I'm this okay, Warren. This is no longer Warren telling tales podcast. This is now Keon talking about comic books podcast because I can.
All right,
I
let's condense it a little bit, but yeah, give me the
Okay,
highlights.
fine. I'll try to be succinct. Okay, so I in Korea there are comic books are a big thing for children. So I read a lot of comic books. It, some of them were Japanese comic books that were translated in Korean, and I just I love the stories. They were fairly simplistic superhero stories, right? I read a lot of X-Men, Batman, Spider-Man when I was a kid, and and I, and one of my passions was drawings. I would doodle all the time. Like, I was quite well known in school as there's always that one kid who draws. I was that kid, and I would draw things for other people. I would draw posters for the school dance and stuff like that. And I continued reading superhero comics, past what would normally be acceptable. My father would be like, why do you buy all this stuff, all this crap? But I still enjoyed it, and the world has bent to my will, because now we have comic book movies,
Yeah.
Marvel's
Yeah.
dominant top 10. It is now a geek's paradise. Don't realize it, but
What's your
we're
favorite, Keon? Do you have a favorite superhero comic story?
Oh God, no, don't do this to me. That's just too much.
Top three.
There's
Top three.
oh God, uh, X-Men Days of Future Past. That's like a classic, story.
Mhm.
Batman: The Long Halloween. That's really great. Um, but those, there are really seminal comic books, but the Sandman series was when that comic book series, written by Neil Gaiman. It's a fantasy series as opposed to superheroes, and it's about this group of beings, a family called the Endless: dream, death, destiny, delirium, uh, desire. Uh, they're a family, and they go on a series of adventures, and it's fantastical, it's allegorical, it has mythical characters in it like Thor and Loki, and it mixes all of these myths and fairy tales. There's also some Shakespeare in there, and it mixes it all up into this beautiful concoction of um, uh, cautionary tales and horror stories and comedies and fantasy. And it's really, really sophisticated. You need to have some knowledge of myths and culture to follow that story, because it is so dense with information. And I read that while I was in my first year of university, and it broke my brain. I was like, whoa, this
Yeah.
is what it can, comic books can go beyond superhero stories. It can encompass this world. And more recently, I've become more drawn to um, autobiographical tales. Um, there's a really famous one called Persepolis, for example, that was talking about a Persian woman's experience. It was turned into an animated film.
Okay.
So stories like Persepolis, there's Mouse, that's about the Nazi Germany and about the Jewish people, and they were drawn as cat and mouse characters. And that's actually one, I believe that won the Pulitzer Prize,
Okay.
or was nominated for the Pulitzer Prize, because these are human stories that are told in comic book form. And I love the immediacy it brings. It's like it's the same reason why I love theater. The comic book pages, like, they evoke so much, and it can tell you so much information. And I'm a very visual learner. I like seeing images. When I try reading long books, now I just fall asleep because I'm so tired. And when I try to read an adult book, I just go, I fall asleep within 2 pages. But I think comic books as a medium um, can tell stories powerfully.
Yeah. Wow. I can sense your passion for this, Keon. Incredible
Yeah.
passion in there when you talk. I love it. All right. A few more things, Keon, and then I'm going to let you go because I know you're a busy man. Let's move to so for anyone that doesn't know, you recently lost a considerable amount of weight, which is very impressive, and you look phenomenal. For anyone else that is, considering going down that road, can you talk to them about why you did it firstly, and also how you went about doing it, to maybe give some other people ideas on ways that they could achieve what you've achieved.
Yeah, certainly. So just to give your listeners context, I was 115 kilograms. That was at my heaviest back in 2019, and I'm now down to 86 kilograms.
Wow.
So you know, I decided to start losing weight in 2019 when I was 28 years old, and not 38 years old. Sorry, I jumped a decade. When I was 38 years old, and I was going to turn 40 very soon, and I was just unhappy with the way I look and the way I felt. And I was thin before. I had a yo-yo relationship with my diet, and I decided before I hit 40, I want to be, I want to go back to being under 100 kilograms. I want to be 95. So I said 95 kilograms is my target. And through the help of friends, quite a lot of them were health professionals. There was a nutritionist. There was a yoga instructor. There was a health coach. There was even a hypnotist, a hypnotherapist.
Oh,
wow. They all helped me lose weight in various ways. The hypnotherapist, she planted the suggestion that French fries tasted like earwax. And when she implanted that suggestion, I was like skeptical, right? Because the hypnotherapist, yeah, okay, I'm willing to try. And I tried it. Lo and behold, I'm at the dinner table in a restaurant, and somebody served up fries, and I reached out for one. I put it in my mouth. I started chewing it, and it was like, this doesn't take that. And then decided to stop eating French fries. I was addicted to French fries. This was a huge thing. So because of all of that, got down to 95. I was like, this is pretty good. But I decided, why stop there? And I actually went to see a gut and hormone specialist. Her name is Helen Revens, and she was responsible for getting rid of another 8 kilograms just by diet alone, because she helped identify my gluten intolerance and my lactose intolerance. She, spent a long time with my medical history, asked me a lot of questions about my family and myself and my eating habits. And she identified, you're probably gluten and lactose intolerant because of X, Y, and Z. And said, sure. And I decided to take her suggestions on. And the weight just went away. And also my digestion, stomach issues also went away. And that felt like a permanent change, because I love eating bread and I love eating cheese, but when I got rid of those from my diet, I started exploring eating other things that are healthier, and my diet is much more varied. And so I think the biggest difference, and the reason why I think I can keep the weight off, is because I have a new approach, and I also talk to a lot of people. I got help. Like, a lot of people don't talk about their own personal exercise and health. They keep it private, right? But I think when you start talking to other people about it, and you start holding yourself accountable, and you're getting professional advice, you're taking it seriously. And that was the biggest change in my approach, as opposed to before, where I would, just quietly, silently, okay, I promise I'll do 50 push-ups every morning and 50 sit-ups every morning. And, get up to 25, 30, and it's like, oh, that's good enough. Stop. And I don't talk to anybody about it. So I'm not held to account. That it was the difference, and that's what I think made my weight loss feel permanent.
Amazing. Well, there you go, guys. Lots of ways there in which you can go about doing it. But that must have been a hard period, like doing that. Such a big change in your life and your habits. Like I can only imagine it would have been quite difficult.
Oh yeah, I that there were times where I just wanted to give up. I wanted to throw there was an iPad I had used for apps. I wanted to throw the iPad uh, across the room. But there was so many times where I wanted to give up. Intermittent fasting and fasting in general, I tried that. The 24-hour fasting was just horrible. I only did that twice. But there were so many times I had cravings, and there were so many times where my weight went back up. But the thought that brought me back down was something that a health coach told me. He said, "Be gentle with yourself. It's okay. Just do the best you can, and don't blame yourself, because if you're having all these negative reactions to what you're doing, you're not going to want to continue doing it."
Mm.
So whenever that key bit of advice just helped me go back to zero, go back to, okay, I'm going to start again. I'm just going to be gentle with myself. Okay, I ate a little bit more chocolate than I should do, or I ate a little bit too much at dinner than I shouldn't have. It's okay. Restart again and make it work. And you keep doing that, and you become more and more disciplined and more strict, and able to keep your word with your diet and exercise.
There we go. All right, we're going to jump to a game, Keon. From that into a game. What a nice
All right.
transition. All right, good. So, would you rather 5 questions? You can give it as much thought as you like, or you can just spit out the first thing that comes to mind. And then we're going to finish with final thoughts, and then that's it for the episode. Are you ready to play Would You Rather?
Sure.
Very good.
Yes.
All right, let's do it. Number 1, would you rather be able to control animals or be able to see into the future?
Control animals.
Good. Number
Duh.
2,
That's
duh. Would you rather be able to shrink down to the size of an ant or grow to the size of a skyscraper?
ant.
Okay. Number 3, would you rather be famous on the internet or in real life?
What's the difference?
Well, I know it's sort of merging these days, but I think what I mean by that is a social media star of some description, a TikToker or one of those.
Oh, I'd rather be famous in real. I'd rather people know me in real life, and I can have conversations because you can have conversations with people in real life. I don't think the conversations you can have on social media, they can be good, they can be great, they can be the start of something real, but a lot of it's just superficial. So I'd rather be a celebrity in real life if that means I can
Interact with
people
other
want.
human beings.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Number 4, would you rather be physically stronger than most people or be able to fly?
Okay. Oh, physically. See, I read too many comic books. I feel like my mind is already reeling off the possibilities and the drawbacks and the sense of responsibility. If you're stronger than most people, does that mean that I have to become part of the military or the police? The
Oh my goodness me.
responsibility.
A penny for your thoughts.
Oh, dear God. Do I choose duty or do I choose escapism with flying? But if you're flying, do you have to buy new clothes? Are you because if you fly, can you fly supersonic, or is it just like swimming in the air?
Let's go supersonic.
In that case, flight. Oh, am I able to have clothes that will withstand the supersonic speed? You weren't expecting these questions.
No,
You're
no,
asking a
no.
common. This
No
is
one
like
usually asks me questions at this point.
this is like Hulk versus the Thing, or Superman versus Batman, Kirk versus
Let's
Picard.
say that you have to, in order to fly supersonically, you need special clothes to be able to do that.
Is it only one set of clothing, or can I like make any type of clothing in the special?
You can create whatever you want, as
Then
long as
flight,
flights.
flight,
Okay.
flight, flight, flight.
Very good. We got there, guys. We got there. Right. Number 5. Would you rather, and this is the last one, would you rather be reincarnated as a sea creature or an airborne creature? And I feel like there might be some more questions coming my way.
No, no. I think a bird, flying creature.
Yeah,
I feel like being underwater, there's a lot of beauty over there, but it's so polluted.
mm.
uh, oh God, I'm gonna end us on a dour note. No,
Let's
no,
move away from pollution.
yes,
It's not
sorry.
polluted in all water, is it? Only,
I
I
will.
mean,
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure there's. I would be a sea creature only if I have the special ability to able to clean up pollution that's down there.
I like that. That's your yeah, that's great. I love that. Okay. Sea creature with the ability to clear up all pollution and the power to do that. Amazing. All right, Keon. Last thing before we leave, Keon Lee's final thoughts for the episode, something positive and uplifting for our audience on approaches to life, dealing with positive and negative change, that kind of thing. Nothing major, a nice small thing to end.
Yeah. Uh, okay, I'm going to be speaking to all the creative people who are out there listening to Warren's podcast, because I think that is Warren's tribe. Hello, Warren's tribe, listening to this. Um, uh, I think it's be gentle with yourself, because I know a lot of creative people who kind of beat up about themselves about their work and you know, whether they get it right or not. And I think you just have to take a step back and just be gentle with yourself and just go, so it's okay. You know, this is how it is now. You don't have to beat yourself up about it. Um, so yeah,
Okay.
be gentle with yourself.
Very good. Very good. There we go, guys. All right. It's been an absolute pleasure, Keon. And it's been really nice to see you as well. It's been a while.
Yeah,
I think the last time I saw you, we were in a taxi actually coming back from a party, but we won't go too much into that right now.
but you haven't changed a bit. Like you still look young, even with 2 kids. Like
Yeah, I
how is that
know.
possible?
I just send them away regularly. That's what it is. Go and entertain yourself somewhere. Climb a tree. Yeah, something like that. Anyway. Uh, anyway, not enough about me and my parenting style. Um,
Climb a tree.
yeah.
Yeah.
Keon, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for today. I wish you well for the rest of your evening and into the week. And I look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Thank you, Warren. Thank you very much for having me.
No problem. Cheers, Keon. Bye bye now.